Hello, everyone. So, for those of you watching the live playback, hello. Pretty much I wanted to go live because I haven't gone live in a while, and I recently posted something on Twitter about introverted feeling and extroverted feeling and how both of those functions can be authentic in different ways. And it landed well, and so I thought I might as well read what I said and explain that concept further, and also answer any questions that anyone might have about introverted feeling versus extroverted feeling. I have about 30 minutes to talk, so let me know if you're here. I think I'm going to sort of explain what FE and FI is just a little bit at the beginning, so I can sort of buy some time for people who were wanting to pop on. But so whenever I'm talking about FI and FE, I'm doing the best that I can to sort of separate the function from the person. And here's how I look at it. I think that we have 4 cognitive functions that our ego likes to attach to as this is me. And then the other 4 cognitive functions our ego tries to detach from and say, that's not me. And because of that, people who, let's say if you're an ENFJ and you prefer extroverted feeling, for me, that is the top function that my ego is going to be like, yes, that's me, and stand by it and everything. But that doesn't mean that I'm not experiencing introverted feeling. At least that's how I see it. And so whenever I talk about these sort of theories, I'm not saying FI users are authentic in this way or FE users are inauthentic in this way, because we all have the capability to use all 8 functions. That's how I see it. So I know that not everybody sees it in the same way, but at least when taking whatever I'm saying, I believe, for example, I'm about to explain introverted feeling and extroverted feeling authenticity. I, even though I'm not an FI user, might be displaying introverted feeling authenticity or extroverted feeling authenticity. Hi, Austin. Hi, Dan. Hi, Sarah. Hello, everybody. Hi, Brittany. Supernova. Okay. Sorry, I realized I wanted to call people out, and then this FE Dom over here, I'm like, oh no, I can't call out some people by name and then not others, because then it wouldn't be fair. So I'm going to just stop now. But anyway, hello, how's it going? But yeah, so I think there's a problem when we're talking about type where whenever people sort of share behavioral patterns that they see that one type does over the other, it's kind of assumed that everybody of this type does this and everybody of this type does that. When sometimes, if I were to explain a negative FI thing, perhaps FE users are doing that and they just don't know. Perhaps that's the shadow side to the FE user that they just have no clue about. So I just want to open that up for discussion. But the reason why I like to sort of share my observations in this way of this is how I've noticed FI is authentic, this is how I've noticed FE is authentic, is because for me, it allows us to sort of have a name that we can use so that we can then talk about the behavior. So anyway, I'm just going to read what I said on Twitter, because that's pretty much what prompted the discussion. And if anyone has any questions about FI and FE while I'm live, just let me know. So FI and FE authenticity are different, because FE authenticity is more about, is the way that you are treating this person or this thing in alignment with how you value them. So because extroverted feeling is extroverted, it's you want to consistently demonstrate your value over time, no matter how you feel. And for an FE user to be authentic, when a FE user is authentic, then if you are their friend, they're going to treat you like a friend every single day. Every day. If an FE user is your friend and they are displaying FE authenticity, and you say, hey, I need you right now, the FE user isn't going to just not respond. So FE authenticity. If they were truly so tired or truly so busy that they couldn't respond, then FE authenticity would treat the person like a friend and say, hey, I'm so sorry, I can't right now. I hope you're doing well, but I can talk to you tomorrow. This is an example of sort of basic FE authenticity that I think a lot of FI users lack, in favor of the other wonderful form of authenticity, which is FI user authenticity. Is what I'm saying and doing true to what I'm actually feeling right now? FI authenticity doesn't want to feel like they have to express an emotion that isn't in alignment with what they're actually feeling. And I think that a lot of people think that one of these authenticities can come at the expense of the other. And it doesn't always have to be that way. I think that many times it can be that way. Like, for example, like if you were having a really rough day and a friend needs something from you, a lot of times FI user would just be like, you know what? I can't handle this right now. I'm just going to deal with myself right now. And that is completely fine. Like, it's completely fine to deal with yourself first. But what the FI user might forget is that maybe just expressing, hey, I value you. Like, I know that takes some energy, but just expressing where you're coming from is, the FE authenticity piece. And sometimes FI users feel like they have to choose between that or the other. Then on the other hand, FE users can feel like they have to choose, where an FE user might be feeling like crap and they get a text from a friend that they need them. And then an FE user might just call them and try and help and not meet their own need, which is also not authentic to FI. So I think that we think we have to choose, and sometimes we are in situations where we have to choose. But, if the FE user were to start to trust the times that, they authentically didn't feel like it at that time. Like, I've learned at least that FI users respect me more when I tell them no. They respect that more than if I were to say, oh yeah, I'd love to listen, and if I wasn't fully present. So I'm going to look to see what you guys said and then continue. Okay, so as I said on my thread, FI authenticity is really wonderful. It's changed my life. It's inspired me. FE authenticity will treat friends like friends, treat family like family, treat your significant other like the gift that they are, and show them how you feel about them, like every single day. And at least something sort of consistent, because it's like, so I'm dating an FJ now, and this is the first time I've ever dated an FJ, and we text each other every morning when we're not together, I love you. And I understand that that can get really gushy and like really annoying to FI. Like, it can sort of lose its effect. From what I've heard from the feedback from FI users, they sort of feel like if you're constantly showering the person with compliments or affection, it can sort of lose its effect, and people can be like, well, you're just saying that because you want to keep me around. And that might actually be the case. That is the FI user's sort of FI authenticity. They're alert for, why are you saying that? Are you saying that because you feel that way right now? Or are you saying that because you want to get some sort of result? And I want to validate that, yeah, that's totally a thing. There are a lot of FE users out there that just are so afraid of being alone that they just say whatever they need to say in order to, get what they want. But the FE user isn't going to be aware of the FI aspect of things. That is in their shadow. So even if the FE user was not being FI authentic and they were just saying, I love you every day, and they didn't really feel that way, they would not be saying it because they were trying to trick you into doing something. The FE user would be complimenting consistently because they believe that you deserve to feel loved, and they want to demonstrate that love. So I think if we can start to realize, the reason I'm talking about the feeling functions in particular is because, hold on. Hi. Speaking of FE authenticity, my girlfriend just texted me wondering if I was dead because I didn't respond, and I just got home from work. And as opposed to following my FI, which was that I wanted to keep talking, I knew that I didn't want her to worry about me, and so I stopped what I wanted to do, and I told her that I was safe. That's just an example of something that's so natural to me. I don't leave my phone around and just like okay, sorry. I know it's like, okay, the reason I'm talking about the feeling functions is because I think that these are the functions where we can hurt each other so much. Because the thing is that, like, if an FE user is inauthentic to FI, they probably don't even know that they are being that way. And if an FI user is inauthentic to FE, they probably don't even know that they are doing that. So I think just being easy on each other is really important. Because, for example, I've been in situations where I felt such a need to consistently pull a relationship along, like with FE, because I saw it as sort of like my duty, that I forgot to check in with my FI and ask myself, do I really feel like doing this right now? So that's important. It's important for FE users to actually check in with, do I feel like doing this? But then on the other hand, if you only do what you feel like doing, and that's it, in short term, you can forget to think about the long term, and you can sort of go into instant gratification. I'll talk more about that in a second. So I'm going to just continue reading what I was saying. I personally think that it is inauthentic when somebody feels one way about a person, but their actions lack the follow through to actually demonstrate the value that you feel. So a lot of times people who lack FE authenticity, they might love their family but never reach out because the actual act of reaching out is draining to them. But then what happens is the person dies, and then they're like, oh crap, I should have, what happened? Like, now all that time's gone. And so I think, now that I'm thinking about this, I think that FE is almost like more afraid to regret something than anything. I mean, we all feel regret, but I think that the sort of long-term focus that FE has, it's sort of like, everything I'm doing, even if it makes me really pushy and extra, it's because I don't want to regret anything, So FE authenticity is the foresight to remember that your mom, who you love so much, might die tomorrow. So you consistently reach out to her week after week because you know that it is more important to you in the long run than scrolling through Twitter. And FE authenticity wants to demonstrate that value. Texting your mom back, even though you don't feel like it right now, is a no-brainer to FE because you know that your mom means that much to you, and so you want to consistently demonstrate that. FI inconsistently demonstrates how they feel, even if they don't know that, because to them, to FI, they feel the feeling is consistent, but the way that they demonstrate it is inconsistent because it's an introverted function. So because FI is attached to SE and NE, that means that its decision making is very in the moment. So it's based on the NE or the SE thing that's going on at the moment. Whereas for FE, FE leans on NI or SI, that is the introverted perception. So that is your perception over time that you've pieced together over tons of moments. So that's why FE would be more inclined to sort of make a decision of like, I know that at the end of the day, my mom matters more to me than this internet fight or something. But I'm not trying to say that FE users won't get into internet fights, but the ones that they will get into are going to be ones that they feel like at the end of the day, this is a cause I care about. It's sort of like this, at the end of the day, that is sort of how FE thinks about things, because that's how FE allows itself to do things that they don't want to do, because you have to get the emotional energy to motivate you to do things and to make that judgment that it's valuable. Okay, so Mick says NTPs get into internet fights when they don't care about the topic. Yes, that's very true, and I've noticed that. And I know Dave Superpowers one time made a video about thinkers and how they argue because they don't know how they feel. I think that's very true. I think personally, it's like FI is the function that knows what matters and is consistently asking themselves, what matters to me? And so NTPs won't ask themselves, does this matter to me? And they will just say it anyway because it's more about what their TI thinks is right, and they won't notice the emotional energy that they're spending. Where feelers are way more focused on the emotional energy that they're spending. So it's not that the thinkers are like mean or whatever, or that they don't even notice that they are like doing something that doesn't matter to them. Nobody knows about what matters to them and making sure that they're doing something at that moment that aligns with that more than like, oh, hi, Jack. To finish that, I was saying it's FI that's really focused on what matters to them. But yeah, thinkers, when they develop, they grow into that and they start to only want to fight if it matters to them. Similar to how feelers, and they grow into their thinking stuff, it's like they are more discerning about how they want to spend their emotional energy as well. So, okay. So because FE is attached to NI or SI, it has this, at the end of the day, sort of quality to it. And so if everybody was focused on their FI all day long, like, well, really it's FE or TE. What am I saying? Like, for example, like your FI probably doesn't feel like going to work sometimes. So what drags you there? What drags you there? Either it's the TE sort of like efficiency, or it's like the FE. It's either like TE because you're thinking logically that you have to pay your bills, or it's like FE, like in the long run, I'll be happier if I do this. These sort of extroverted judging functions are like focused on like the sort of bottom line things, where you could think about FE as like this sort of bottom line value. And that's why when I was talking about my video today, that's why like FE tends to really value like common human respect and decency, because it's like FE would rather maintain that than anything, and it comes at an expense. It comes at an expense because if the FE user was not authentic to introverted feeling, then they spend their life showing everybody that they care and demonstrating these values, but then they never do anything that they feel like they don't fully live. They don't let themselves fully live in the moment and fully appreciate something I've really learned from my FI user friends is that it's actually not the most kind thing to do to say, "Oh, hey, yeah, I can help you right now," if I don't actually have the energy to. I've realized that it can be very hurtful to people, even if I think that I'm doing the right thing. It's like my FI user friends, if they're struggling, they want me to be present with that emotion, and um, that's more important. And I'm trying to live more that way in general, where I want to give people my full selves, um, and not give the bare minimum consistently. And like when we're trying to balance both of these aspects, no matter what type you are, it's like it's challenging because you have to think about what matters to me and also how do I want to prioritize my energy. So people, I just want to say people can be authentic and inauthentic. FI is not more authentic than FE, but healthy people can sort of integrate the best of both. So by integrate, what do I mean? So when I'm talking about integrating, I, as an ENFJ, it's a lot easier for me to integrate with TI into my FE to make my FE better. Um, I think that we have like the shadow functions that are the 4 functions below our stack. But what in my experience, and this might change, in my experience, what's helped me more is like talking with NFPs and asking them how they work and then sort of using my like FE and TI to like click together like the value of what they do and just try and employ some of their tactics as opposed to trying to actually like be them, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I've learned from my FI user friends that it can be very hurtful to it can sometimes be more, it can sometimes be, what am I saying? It can sometimes be less hurtful to bail on a plan than it would be to show up and not be fully present with their FI. That was hard for me to learn because I used to be the sort of person that would just take it personally if people canceled on me. And now I'm like trying to get better at like honoring my needs. And the thing is, if you're a person that honors your needs, it's very hard to be consistent about your expression. And that's why FI users are that way. Like, it's hard to. Like, if you are trying to, at every single moment, meet your own needs, it is so hard to meet other people's needs. So, if you're an FI user, like, watching this, like, I understand that it is, like, not easy to like do both. Like, so if you're naturally an FI user, I have a lot of empathy for you because it's like I feel like we get caught in things where it's like it seems to me to be easy for FI users to forget to align their life and to create a life where the things they value are surrounded and mirroring them, if that makes sense. Ask me a question if it doesn't, like, if you need clarification on that. It's like, really, I'm just realizing that it's like the introverted functions are like a lot more short term in their processing because as easy as it might be to think that like if you're an FI, if you are like FI authenticity, as easy as it might be to think that you should just like at any given moment always do what feels right to you. If you do that over time, then that can lead to problems. But like I understand it makes sense in the short term. In the If you do that every single day, then you might wake up one day and find yourself living a life that you don't want to live. And it's like, how did that happen? Because um, all of my actions were geared toward that. So, um, yeah, if anyone has any questions for me about FI and FE, ask them now because I'm going to get going here in a few minutes. Um, But yeah, and like, but though for FE, what we can do, on the other hand, is like always do the right thing, sort of, that we feel will create an outcome that will make us happy. And then we wake up one day where we are living a life where we have the dream relationship, we have a dream job, we have these things that we achieved. And then all of a sudden the FE user wakes up and is like, but I don't even know the first way. I don't know the first thing about appreciating any of this. So actually, I want to go there. I just want to explain to you guys. It's like, as an ENFJ, and especially since my NI is very strategic, it's like I am in a great relationship. I have amazing friends. I like my job, and I really like the sort of career that I'm building, and I love doing videos and everything. But like, I could be so focused on, I don't know, extroverted feeling that I don't know how to explain it. If there's any FE users that relate, comment below. But it's like I'm so focused on almost like maintaining or creating that it's hard for me to just sort of sink into myself and be like, oh, okay. Or like, even like in a relationship, to be honest, like I have not had the best luck in relationships in the past. And now it's like so great that it's like sometimes I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? Or how do I, there's sort of like this anxiety that can come from like FE where it's like, you think you have to do something. Like, or FI users sometimes don't seem to have this sort of urge that they can seem almost lazy with their relationships. At least that's how it could seem to me. Where then FE is just like feeling like you have to do to like make sure your partner's happy, make sure everyone's happy or whatever. Oh, hi Grace, I'm glad you relate. Yeah, it's like even when you have developed the trust in a relationship, it's like, now what? Like sometimes it leaves me feeling like, well, now what? Now what do I create? And it's like, I think that FI authenticity it helps you relax in the sense that, yeah, so I can never really step back and smell the roses that you've bloomed. Exactly. So, yeah, I think, what am I saying? I think that I am trying to employ some more FI authenticity in my daily life where I'm realizing that, for example, I have a lot of really good friends like from college or from high school that like live in the same town as me. But right now, like we all are sort of like in new-ish relationships. Like I'm almost 25. Like we're sort of at this weird stage where like everybody is like focused on building their career. Like we're all adults or whatever now. And it's like weird. It's like I don't take it personally as much when people don't respond. And I also am no longer the person that's like always responding because I'm using FI to invest in myself. I don't have as much energy to give to other people because I'm investing in myself. And that's the catch. That's the catch. It's like FI users are always investing in themselves. They forget to show people that they value them. And it's like FE users are always showing that they don't like take the time to either appreciate what they've done or do something that is just to be happy. So it's almost like I think FJs can get caught in this trap where we like always want to do things to create happiness and won't recognize happiness if it hits us in the face. And it's like I'm really respecting a lot of FI users now, in the sense that I have had to say no to so many friends because I've been building I want to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I am an entrepreneur, but like I want to be able to support myself doing what I love, and I want to be able to have the literal energy to empower people every single day and continue philosophizing or whatever and creating discussions. That's what I want to do every single day. That's what my like FI wants. That's what my FI wants, is to continue learning about human nature and sharing what I found. That's what my FI wants. And it's like, okay, so when I do that, it makes it a lot harder because that takes energy. And I think that's something that FE users need to realize about FI users, is that everything that they're doing to sustain themselves takes energy to do. And we don't get it because we don't give ourselves that energy. So anyway, I'm going to look at some of these comments and respond more before I head out. But yeah, so the Luigi Brother 77 says, I think that you can appreciate it through your NI or SI. I think that NI or SI can like see what's going on, but it would probably take your FI to feel it, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to think about that more. I definitely don't think that FI users are always better at um, appreciating than FE. It's not that like I'm having trouble finding the right words for it, but to me it's sort of just like J's, I mean like FJs. I don't know if TPs or TJs how you guys will relate to this, so let me know your thoughts. But like as an FJ, like as a J, like I'm more focused on this like sort of result than feeling the emotion right now. And at least if we're talking FPs and FJs, FPs are more likely to like feel it now and then like not do anything to maintain it. So whereas I'm always maintaining and like always freaking myself out, never relaxing. But that's also sort of an NJ thing. But okay, so Phenom Reloaded said it's kind of a monarch mentality. Once you've obtained the power, in this case, you can only focus on keeping it no matter what. You're anxious that you need to keep doing good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's so true, and that actually reminds me of something that Carl Jung said about extroverted judging. That so I've recently been. It's funny, I have it right next to me. Recently been like actually reading this. I mean, I've read it. I mean, like I've tried to read from the beginning so many times because I keep thinking like I don't want to miss anything that he says. But I decided to just sort of flip open to FE and TE. And the anecdote that Carl Jung talks about when he talks about TE, which I haven't finished reading FE yet, but it's the same thing, is that extroverted judging, okay, I'll just say my opinion, whatever. The anecdote he shares is like a TJ always creating and creating more and more things for their business, to the point where their introverted side is like this intense, massive ego that they don't even know they have an ego because it's repressed. And it's like there's always like the extroverted side and then the introverted side to everything. And it's like extroverts will obsessively create objects, but then their subject themselves, it won't. I might have to do another video on that topic just in general, because I don't want to waste time by flipping and trying to find the exact thing. But the idea is that extroverted functions are so focused on the objects and maintaining the object that their shadow introverted self is almost crushed by the weight of what they've created. I think EJs in particular probably feel this with like our inferior TI or FI. It's sort of like always trying to maintain and build and build and build. But then if your introverted judging doesn't know how to like process that or like handle that, it can kind of make your sense of self go completely out of whack. So yeah, but once you've obtained the power, you can only focus on keeping it no matter what. Yeah. Whereas like FPs and TPs are more flexible with the things that they're creating, at least in terms of like judging. Anyway. So the Luigi Brother 77 says, do people get angry when one doesn't respond to their text right away? I definitely used to be. Now I'm the complete opposite. Now I'm afraid to respond to text right away because I don't want to look needy, which is also not great, and also still FE because, you know, I have seemed needy in the past. Or like if I like I'm unsure how close I am to the person, I'm like afraid sometimes of like putting pressure onto them. Like I don't want them to feel like they have to respond right away. Yeah, Phenom Reloaded said, I wish you didn't feel like every single move you make has to be an effort of building and maintaining a potential empire. You should enjoy all this great content. You should be proud of that. Thank you for saying that, and I really hear you. And I think that if I was in a place where of more stability, I would be able to relax more because I at least understand that I should. But this is something that I feel like all NJs, something that we do to ourselves. So because of my NI, it's like I make things difficult on myself. It's like, but in a way, it's like when I look out in the world, I feel like everything is sort of in this position where it's like innovate or die. Like the things that you aren't innovating are decaying. And so I don't see the corporate world, I don't see normalcy in an SI way as safe at all. I don't view it as safe. I see that it's decaying. I see things that I perceive as decaying. And so I feel this intense pressure to create something new. So my degree's in journalism, and what I'm seeing is all of my friends who work their ass off going and working for papers and then getting laid off because the industry's decaying. And so I went to school to know how to communicate, and I was like, okay, well, people are going to be creating or people are going to be communicating till the end of time. And my perception was like, okay, well, there's a trust problem. There's a huge trust problem. People don't trust the media. Why aren't they trustworthy? And so then I get really interested in trust. And I'm like, people like conveying information. People are consuming more information than ever today. So why aren't they reading the newspaper? And so like I'm interested in that sort of stuff, but like I guess I feel like this intense need to like create my own foundation like in my early 20s. It's like I won't rest until I've created a new foundation. And like hopefully I've talked to a few NJ friends about this who have sort of the same mentality as me. Sort of like hopefully that hard work's gonna pay off, you know, but at the same time it's like you never know, I could die tomorrow. It's like you never know, like I gotta still be able to enjoy the process, and that's something that I have a hard time with, that enjoying the process, because every day can just feel like extremely like uncertain and like scary, and like I understand why SJs, you know, want at least to expect things a little bit more, because the opposite of that is very scary. It is constantly taking a risk. It is constantly paving a path and forging your way through something. It's constantly creating something new. And a lot of NJs, in my experience, are dealing with that right now because of the state of the world. And anyway, that's just, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I need to, yeah. So Supernova says, I hate when people play games with texting, like, oh, I'm not going to respond because you didn't respond to me in X amount of time. My opinion is that TPs do that more than anyone. That's just my opinion. I think it's because they use FE to serve what their TI wants. My ENTP friend even told me, she said that if she feels like people don't respond back to her fast enough, then she wants to intentionally detach from the person and like take twice as long. And you don't even want to know all the freaking mind games that TP guys from Tinder used to play on me. So I really hate that as well. Okay. So Kenneth asks, is it the NI parent, the cognitive function that makes ENFJs doubt themselves, or is it inferior TI? I actually think it's inferior TI. Because for me, for example, I have a very strong sense of knowing, which I would call my NI, but I'm sometimes afraid to express it because then my inferior TI is like, well, how do you know that your knowing or your perception's right? And the fact is, I don't. And that's actually the thing that has led me to start having more courage sharing, because I realized eventually that I'll never know if what I'm saying is true, and nobody ever does. And it's actually the fools that think that what they're saying is true all the time. And I used to let it hold me back because I was so afraid to say something stupid or say something wrong. And now, at least what I'm trying to do, I'm not perfect at it at all. But it's like, now I want to just share whatever my NI perceives, and I just know and try and trust that it's your all's job to perceive and discern however you want. Um, I'll do my best to be as accurate as possible, but I'm never going to stop doubting myself. I'm never going to stop doubting myself, and I don't want that to hold me back. So, yeah. Okay, last question I will answer, which is just going to be brief. I don't have time to explain, but somebody asked if I thought that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is an ENFJ. I actually think that she's an ESFP. So that's my opinion. I don't really like going into and like arguing why I type people. I understand other people are into that. If anyone has any ideas on like how I can share something like that, I don't know. Thing is, I'm not interested in arguing at all. I don't like it. It's not that I don't have the logic. I just would so much rather teach the cognitive functions as I see them and share my opinions on things, and then have people learn about the functions themselves and then see for themselves what they think about people's types. That's what I think. But, you know, if people ask me specifically what I think someone's type is, I don't really mind sharing. But yeah, I think that AOC is a ESFP. But anyway, I kind of went off topic a little bit, but maybe I will do more live streams like this. I never really feel like doing them, and then I forget once I've done them that I do enjoy them, and I like answering your all's questions. So yeah, I guess, yeah. If you guys want to be typed by me and Crystal, I have a typing service now that will be linked below once this video is done processing for the replay. I also am looking for potential mentees for a one-on-one program that I'm starting where I want to help people integrate their functions to sort of I'm going to go through their ego and then also go through the shadow and sort of test your overall health from top to bottom and try and help those be integrated. I'm still thinking through how I want to talk about that. But yeah, those will be linked below, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching.